G'day guys, this is Paul with Nosh Prepper. Before we get started on today's video, which is going to be what to prep when we've got kids, I'd just like to thank all of you guys for subscribing and sharing the information. We've hit 400 subscribers, which has just blown me away completely. I actually didn't expect that one bit. Yeah, so it came as a total surprise to me. So thank you guys very, very much for that and for commenting and liking. It does make a difference for the channel and makes a difference for people to actually access the information as well. So once again, thank you very, very much. So today we're going to talk about what to prep when you've got kids. Now I've got some notes here just to keep me honest, make sure I don't run over time. Now this is an answer to a question that I received from one of our Facebook group members, and she said, my husband and I have a child under 7 months. Can you give us some tips on what we ought to be prepping? Now, this had me thinking quite a lot about when I grew up in Australia, because we were self-sufficient. And, you know, my parents are actually very, very good at taking care of us and taking care of our needs. So I'm going to provide you some tips based on how I grew up in the Australian bush, how my wife and I raise our kids, my experience as a teacher. I've been a teacher since 2003, and my experience over the last 19 years as a leader in a home church fellowship. So I understand that not everyone who's watching this is likely to be Christian, but at the same time, you know, I think that some of this information is quite relevant because I've had experience in actually taking care of kids and helping families. So use this as a guide, okay? This isn't the gospel. You know, I'm not an expert in everything. I've got experience, and I'm just hoping I can share this experience with you guys, and you may be able to avoid making a couple mistakes. So let's start with the newborn and toddler. Okay, so I've split this up into age groups. So if you're not breastfeeding, then you're really going to be needing a lot of baby formula. And even if you are, it's good to have some just in case. Next, make sure that you've got a good stock of diapers, then swaddling cloths, and then porridge for infants. Now, if you don't have grains or a grinder or something like that, then make sure you actually have that porridge stored up. Canned sauces or fruit conserves to mix into the porridge. That's also really important as well. That helps a lot to just add flavor and a bit of nutrition to what the kids are eating. After that, I've got a food catching bib. You'd be surprised at how much food you actually end up losing on the floor and losing all over the place when you're feeding kids. So those bibs are very useful. After that, I've got teething chew toys. You want the kids to be able to chew on something nice and clean. You've got pacifiers and pacifier clips. You'll lose lots and lots of pacifiers, I promise you that. Clothes for all seasons. You're going to need clothes for the kids, and then high quality stroller bag. It's like a sleeping bag that the kids can sleep in. So that's also very handy to have. And get one that's sheepskin if you can. It breathes, and it's good for winter. In summer, you can just unzip it and use it as a mattress. Then last of all, a good quality stroller, something that's heavy duty. That the jogging style strollers tend to be the best. They're built much more robust. After that, you've got early childhood, which I've got, which is about 1 to 4 years of age. Clothes and shoes for all seasons. You're going to need lots of that. So that's going to be pretty standard for most of these things. Repair patches. Kids in that age group, they will absolutely trash their socks, their long johns, or we call them tights, and any kind of bodies that you put on them. When they're crawling around and running around and stuff, they'll get holes everywhere. So you need the equipment to repair it. A good reserve of eating utensils, and then water bottles with sipping nozzles. Okay, because the kids get thirsty a lot and they're going to lose their water bottles all the time. So you actually want to have a good reserve of water bottles. Middle childhood, which is 5 to 8 years of age. Clothes and shoes for all seasons. Again, you're going to need that. Water bottles, and then backpacks for the different growth stages, because kids will outgrow their backpacks really quickly. So you actually want a good reserve of backpacks. Right, let me change so you don't get the sun in the camera. Right, let's keep going. Preteen, which is ages 9 to 12. So you want clothes and shoes. Again, they're going to outgrow this constantly. Always have a good reserve. Start considering the food quantity as for an adult when you're talking preteen. So, you know, you have to start making sure that you've got sufficient food if you've got kids in that age group, or they're going to be in that age group. feminine products if you've got a daughter or you've got multiple daughters. And then fourth point is communication devices to make sure that your kids can maintain relationships with people over distance so that they have healthy social skills. Now, at this stage, your kids are going to be much more skilled in practical activities and sports. So consider having tools and equipment available for them to practice their gross and their fine motor skills in practical applications. So this is quite important. Right, then we go to teen. So the teens is, all the way up to 19 years of age. Again, clothes and shoes. The next point is food sufficient to feed an adult doing heavy work. Growing teens, they eat a lot. So you're going to need a lot of food stored up if you've got teenagers in the house. And then the third point is personal hygiene items like razors, hairbrushes, nail clippers, tweezers, all of that kind of thing. Now, what I have is some separate items. I've got two extra categories here. Now, the first one of these extras is your medical and developmental resources. These are really important to consider. During the entire childhood, we need to consider the healthy development of the kids. And this takes into consideration both their medical needs and then also their developmental needs. So what we're going to start with is the medical and personal items. So first is a first aid kit with thermometer and spare batteries. Antiseptic, so your peroxides, your betadines, your colloidal silver. An assortment of tweezers and pincers. You have no idea how often you'll be pulling stuff out of kids' noses and ears and things like that. So you want a good assortment of those. And then you also want a huge number of Band-Aids and sticky plasters and strips instead of using, for example, stitches and things like that. And I would also add a bottle of super glue there, which helps a lot in sealing up cuts in a pinch. After that, I've got children's paracetamol and or ibuprofen. To help to control a fever. Now look, if you can't get your hands on that or you run out, what you can do is you can use damp gloves or you can use damp socks and put it on a child with a fever. It will drop their fever in about 15 to 20 minutes. So just keep making sure that you're changing those socks and those gloves out, and it'll drop the temperature because the blood vessels are really close to the surface of the skin. I've got 4 kids, and this is what we've done in the past when even paracetamol wouldn't work. We would drop the fever doing that. Point number 3 in the medical and personal items is Vicks or similar chest rubs to help with kids that have colds. Point 4 is cough syrup. Now you can use onion juice and honey, or you can use black radish juice and sugar, which also work as fantastic cough syrups. Point 5 in the medical, diarrhea medication. So ginger, apple cider vinegar and white rice will also work to help control diarrhea if you need to and you're looking for a natural alternative. Point 6, laxatives. So you can use prune juice, brown sugar or olive oil. They will all work as a laxative as well with children. Point 7 is zinc cream or calamine lotion for rashes and if the kids get chicken pox and things like that to help stop the itching. Point 8, lice treatment and lice brushes. I can't tell you how many times kids, when they're socializing and running around with other kids, they'll come back with lice. You need a way to treat that. Point 9 is antihistamines. If your kids have any kind of allergies or any kind of anaphylactic shock, you want some antihistamines there. Point 10 is toothbrushes and toothpaste. You're going to need loads of toothbrushes. I recommend getting soft toothbrushes so you don't damage their gums and their enamel. In a pinch, you can use bicarbonate of soda or you can use salt as a replacement for toothpaste if you don't want to go down using all the chemicals that you find in modern toothpastes. Point 11 are hot water bottles and heat pillows for when the kids have earaches or a sore stomach. Hot water bottles are extremely useful. Point 12, rubbing alcohol for sterilizing. That's absolutely brilliant. 13, nail clippers. You want nail clippers to be able to clip the kids' nails. Little kids, their nails grow really fast, so you want good nail clippers. Point 14, you want hairbrushes, combs, and a huge amount of elastic hair ties if you've got girls. They're going to lose millions of them, so stock up on them now. 15 are gentle soaps that can also be used as shampoos. There's no point buying soap and shampoo. You can buy something that will do both at the same time. And then 16 is lots of laundry detergent and dish soap. You really want to make sure that you keep things fairly sterile in the house. They'll play in the mud and dirt. They'll build their immune system there, but you want to make sure that they've got fairly clean clothes, Now, education developmental items. As the kids' age increases, you're going to become more and more dependent upon having extracurricular activities, and actually having a well-developed curriculum that you can actually run your kids through in the form of homeschool if we're really isolated from the rest of society, or if it's a grid down situation. Now, I've got some links in the description to some online curriculums. I've spoken to my brother who does homeschooling, and he recommends one of these curriculums there, and I'll post which one that is. Now, please note, guys, I am extremely conservative. Okay, I'm very conservative. I'm a Christian, so you're going to get that perspective on this here. So, you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. These are the items I would recommend having on hand for your education developmental needs. The first is paper, notepads, pencils, erasers, steel rulers and pens, basically all your school supplies. Second is calculators and spare batteries. So you want your basic and your scientific calculators as well. You can use a sliding rule if you want to go really old school, but I would just go with a calculator just to have the basics covered. Next one is arts and crafts supplies. So felt tip pens, colored pencils, crayons, all of that kind of stuff, colored paper. The fourth thing is puzzles and board games. You want to be able to keep the kids stimulated. The fifth one is a whole range of different types of books, both in fiction and non-fiction genre. As far as non-fiction goes, these are the types of books that I have, and these are the kind of things I would recommend. The first one being the Bible. I think having good ethical foundation is always good, but that's up to you. You guys can choose whatever you like there. The second type of books are books on logic. You want your kids to be critical thinkers. You should be teaching them logic. After that is a book on etiquette. You want your kids to grow up being refined and having good manners and knowing how to conduct themselves in company. Okay, you want adults to enjoy spending time with your kids and wanting to train them. If they have poor manners, adults aren't going to want to do that. Therefore, you will be the one that will have to teach them everything, and it takes a village to raise a child. After that, textbooks in various STEM subjects. So STEM stands for science, technology. I have to remember. Science, I think it's science, technology, and mathematics actually. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So you want a whole range of textbooks. Old textbooks, there's no problem. There's not a whole lot that really changes on the basics. So you'll be okay. Go to secondhand shops and find them. After that, you want books on local edibles and the animals in your area. And then old encyclopedias, and then old history books. A lot of the modern history books are trash. I wouldn't even recommend them. They have far too much of politics injected in there. Get yourself some old history books. They tend to be far more neutral in the way that they talk about history. Right, now that's the books out the way. So after that, musical instruments with sheet music, tuners and consumables like your strings, your reeds, any oils that you might need for lubricating the instruments and things like that. That's important, okay? You want your kids to be able to have some kind of creative output. After that, swimming aids, ways to teach your kids to swim. I think swimming's important, so have that in mind. After that, sporting equipment, physical games. So you want footballs, maybe some rackets, lawn darts, all that kind of stuff for the motor skills. After your sporting equipment, I have transport. So your tricycles and your bicycles, ways for the kids to get around and develop their fitness. And then I've also included here strength training equipment if possible. Now, I've got a full gym at home. I'll do a video on that, and I'll show you what my kids do for training and what I do for training there as well. And then at the end of that is extra gardening tools, hand tools, sewing equipment, pocket knives, fishing equipment, all of that kind of thing. As your kids get older, they will start doing the kind of activities that you do, and you want to have a reserve of the equipment needed for that so you can bring them along. Now, the biggest challenge that we have faced personally as parents of 4 kids has been illness and injury prevention and treatment, the correct nutrition, providing a ready supply of well-fitting clothes and shoes. That's just been a major challenge. Ensuring a quality education. And then the last point is providing social interaction with children who are a positive influence. This is always difficult if you're a caring parent. Now, in general, diet's not a big issue. Kids eat what we eat. But, just making sure that you have sufficient food for the kids is really important. And you need to make sure that the nutrition is right. They've got growing bodies. So you've got to make sure that you understand, what you need to feed the kids to make sure they grow up healthy. Now, perhaps the most important thing that you can give your kids, and I know this might rub some people up the wrong way, but I think that one of the most important things that you can give your kids are siblings. A kid by themselves is going to have a really, really hard time. But if you've got a family and you've got several children, those kids will be each other's best friends and they'll help each other out. And as your kids get older, they will really be able to help you out a lot. You know, our kids are involved in the gardening. They help out a lot around the house, and the older ones take care of the younger ones. So it works out really well for us. So I would recommend that. Make sure that you've got the first aid skills to take care of your kids, and do a bit of study on pedagogy so that you can actually train your kids the right way and that you can take the place of a teacher. These are two skills that I really recommend that you learn as parents. So this is my list of tips for people who are prepping that have kids. There's a lot more I can add, but this is basically the fundamentals here. And like I said, look, I'm not an expert. I've only got 4 kids. You know, there's other people who are far more experienced than I am, but this is what I found to be useful. And I ran the list past my wife, and she agreed with everything that I had here. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, thank you so much to everyone who's watched to the end. Thank you to all those who have subscribed and joined our Facebook group. Like I said, 400 subscribers. You know, I'm really pleased, and I'm really happy you guys are finding this content interesting. So, you know, leave us a comment, leave us a like, and feel free to forward the video to others. Thanks again, guys. Take care, and see you in the next video. Bye.